Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, the largest crypto channel in all the interwebs. My name is TJ, and I'll be your host for today's episode of Around the Blockchain. Every weekday, Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, we come to you live with our favorite crypto people and personalities from around the blockchain to discuss today's trending crypto topics, as well as answer your most asked questions. We got a really good lineup for you guys today with really good topics. We're going to be talking about the huge news of EIP 1559 and all that means for Ethereum. Are investors scared in this recent dip, as well as BTC coming to retirement accounts and pension plans? So before we get into that real quick, though, let me introduce our guests. We've got one of the other hardest working people in crypto, CryptoJebb, putting out tons of good content, 3 videos a day, just like we do over here. He's cranking out the hard work and the good content. We've got new to the show, Ravi, going to be joining us here today, talking about, has a past in real estate and traditional markets, as well as Rubens, who's got also some traditional experience in passive income investors. So he's going to be telling us a little bit about his experience and what he's learned in his crypto journey so far. And are you down with EIP? Ben Armstrong bringing down the house, coming to talk more Ethereum. We know he's a big fan. He's going to tell us what he thinks about all of that. So let's get started. We got really good topics. Before we get into that, we're going to do a real quick market watch. We've got Bitcoin coming in right 39,800 right now on this chart here, just under 40,000, been kind of jumping above and below that all day long. We've got ICP down again to down 10%. We got Polygon going up. Everything else, altcoin-wise, mostly going sideways for the most part. Some little jumps here or there. But Jeb, real quick with the Bitcoin chart, we were talking a little bit beforehand. You said you saw some interesting things on that chart you wanted to point out. Why don't you start with the market watch and take it away?
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, I know you're very interested in what Bitcoin is doing. Right now, Bitcoin is trading at roughly $40,000. Over on my chart, I'm not sure if I can share it or not, but I will go ahead and tell you that over the last 7 days or so, Bitcoin has rallied from roughly $30,000 to $40,000. Everybody's talking about how we're trading sideways right now, but the fact of the matter is there is still a ton of volatility for any of you traders out there that are looking to make some profits. A couple of the things that our analysts out there are going to want to know is that, number one, Bitcoin crossed the 20 daily exponential moving average just a couple of days ago. Bullish. That is a very healthy sign for anyone who is looking to long Bitcoin. Another thing that you want to take into account is that the RSI has just shown RSI divergence, bullish RSI divergence. In fact, that has been showing up over the last couple of weeks. That, generally speaking, is going to lead into a big rally. It's very rare that you see RSI divergence signal something and the market not go ahead and do that. And one of the last things I want to point out is that while the volume is still low, the volume has been gradually increasing over the last week or so, and that indicates that we might be seeing some more volatility come, especially as we're testing the upper range of the Bollinger Band. So, guys, what all that means for anyone who's not inclined in technical analysis is essentially many of the technical indicators that us analysts are seeing are starting to switch from bearish to neutral to now bullish, and we're looking forward to seeing some potential price gains over the next couple of weeks on your favorite king of crypto.
Exactly. Great breakdown there. And real quick, I forgot to mention, as always, the links to all of these channels are in the description below, guys. So go check out all these guys' channels. They've got really good content, really good perspective on the market. So show them that BitSquad love. And, of course, the score boxes in the bottom right-hand corner. If you like what you're hearing from any of the guests, if you're new here, drop a +1 so I know to give them a point. And you can drop a -1 as well if you want me to take a point away. I do have that that's what that sound does. So if you don't like what they're saying, you can give them a -1 as well. But +1 if you like what they're saying, and I'll know to give them a point as we move on. So real quick, we'll see, he gave you the example there on Ben. So
Ben, I'm not paying attention. I'm looking at the chart.
Yeah. No,
I'm looking at the charts. I'm doing God's work.
Too.
Yeah, so I was going to actually throw it to you next if you wanted to start. Did you have a chart thing you wanted to reference, or I was going to throw you an EIP 1559 question? Which your choice?
Well, I will take a price question because everyone cares about price. Am I right?
Right. Okay. Well, I was going to ask you about if you think this EIP 1559, will this be the fuel we needed to finally get Ethereum up to $3,000 again?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
That's it? You want to?
Yeah, that's it. No. I mean, that was real awkward, wasn't it? I was like, no. Certainly not. I do not believe EIP will push Ethereum over $3,000 by itself. Look, for Ethereum to get back over 3,000, Bitcoin has got to get back above 42K, period. If Bitcoin doesn't get above 42K, Ethereum is going to range for eternity. And when Bitcoin makes its move up, that's when – so you got to look at it like this. Like, Bitcoin is the steam engine that keeps everything churning, right? But EIP 1559 for Ethereum is like some extra fuel, some extra coal to get it in there, to get it going even faster and to speed up the ETH train. Because, like, guys, Ethereum and Bitcoin are linked to the hip. They are still linked to the hip. We would like Ethereum to become its own thing one day, and I believe one day it will. Long ways away. We're nowhere close. And so because of that, like this EIP, like, guys, if we're going down into a bear market, if Bitcoin breaks down, there is nothing that can save the price of Ethereum. EIP 1559 could be just enough to keep it from going down 95%, maybe it'll go down 80%, who knows. But the fact is that until Bitcoin gets things moving in the right direction, we're not going to see Ethereum go above $3,000. Now, if Bitcoin ranges in between 39,000 and 42K for a month, well, that'll kill all the interest in crypto. We're already seeing it, and across all of our socials and other numbers. Part of it is YouTube algorithm. Part of it is they had to change terms of service. But part of it is just there's not as much interest in crypto as there was a month ago. So that'll be like really bad for the space, for awareness for sure. But if it ranged between 39 and 42K, who knows? Maybe at some point Ethereum could get back above $3,000. But we need EIP 1559 to be the cherry on top. We don't need it to be the sundae.
Yeah. Oh, I like that analogy. The cherry on top,
That's
not
good.
the sundae. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, one of the main some of the main things that EIP 1559, which stands for Ethereum Improvement Proposal 1559, which got voted on, got accepted to be implemented a month or so ago when we covered it, maybe a couple months at this point, and now it's getting closer. It looks like they're starting to roll it out on testnet, and they're going to start implementing some of this stuff as early as July. So what this is designed to do is reduce network congestion, the fees that it costs to do these swaps, and increase make it more of a deflationary currency. It's going to add a token burning metric to each transaction that happens, so the supply of Ethereum will start to get reduced instead of kind of having no cap and having no suppression on that. So those are the kind of key features that it's going to be implementing here in the next couple of months. So Rubens with an S, I don't want to mess that up. Rubens with an S, I want to hear from you. Like as you're getting into this, looking at Bitcoin, looking at Ethereum, do you look at a lot of different altcoins and things like that to invest in, or are you mostly focused on the big two, Bitcoin and Ethereum?
Yeah, so I started investing in cryptocurrency in 2017, got out of it, and recently got really heavily back into it. I diversified a lot. I mean, at one point I had 69 different altcoins, a whole lot. When the market went down, I think it was kind of like a blessing, because I was able to consolidate all those and buy more Bitcoin, where now I'm holding, I mean, low number, but I'm holding one full Bitcoin, so guaranteed to be a millionaire. So I think it's really helpful to look at different altcoins, but when the market goes down, consolidate, and that's what I did.
There you go. And you said one full Bitcoin guaranteed to be a millionaire. What is your timeline on that? When do you think Bitcoin will hit $1 million?
2029, May 10th.
2029. Okay.
Whoa, I like this.
Yeah, that's
Specific.
good.
Oh my God, what's a conspiracy? Where's the May 10th?
We can all make videos about that now. That's,
Yeah.
that's
I mean, it's my
tomorrow,
birthday,
May
so I was
10th.
just saying it's be a great birthday
May 10th,
present.
2029.
Right.
That's the big reveal at the end.
Yeah.
That it's
Oh.
Ruben's birthday.
No,
I
we should
can't wait to make a video on this.
Yeah, we should make a title. I should change the title right now. $1 Million Bitcoin
Yes,
That's great.
No, that's really good. So, Ravi, you were telling me before the show started, you kind of had a background in real estate and some more traditional investments, and then started moving over to crypto. When did you start getting involved in crypto, and then what was that catalyst that started getting you to say, like, hey, I should maybe be looking at this?
Yeah, well, my journey was, 2017 coming in at the end, where I thought, oh yeah, like I could be rich because everyone else is making money off this. Entered like January 2018, and all I saw was it go down. So I've got a lot of scar tissue. When I see last month when prices, tanked, for me it was like this feels like feels natural. But when I've come out of that, I've gone into real estate, 7 years into it. And then probably the last couple of years when I turned my self-managed super fund, which is like our retirement fund, I turned it all into 100% crypto. And I started thinking, okay, there's something here. I'm liking what I see. And it's almost like when you see an asset that's undervalued, like crypto, just like, particular regions in real estate across Australia were, that's when I started seeing that there might be an opportunity here to get into something where there's not as many eyes. And when you get into something early, that's when you've got volatility, but I think long term you're going to make a shitload of money. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that.
That's fine. We try to keep it family friendly, but you can be yourself. It is what it is. And main thing, we just want to say pandemic. If you're going to talk about that, the dreaded disease, just say pandemic. That's kind of the main rule. So Ben, I wanted to bring this back to you. I know we talk a lot on the show about both Ethereum and Cardano. We've got Ethereum now making this move to, the EIP 1559 also will be moving it closer towards proof of stake, which a lot of people know that's part of how they're cutting down on the congestion and some of the network difficulty and the mining. It's not a one-step process, but it's a step in that direction. So we know Cardano already proof of stake, but much less development on that ecosystem. If Ethereum is able to make this transition effectively with no missteps, do you think that will just set it apart dramatically and move it away from Ethereum or from Cardano and put it kind of out of reach from these other smart contract platforms?
Well, you're always going to have a counterculture. You're always going to have people that want to push against the mainstream. But, I mean, to answer your question in the most simple way, yeah. I mean, if Ethereum 2.0 goes off absolutely without a hitch and it solves all of the problems almost completely. I mean, it can't, Vitalik's already said, there will still be some issues. But if it does the most perfect job it can possibly do, yeah, ain't nothing going to catch it. Really, Cardano and Polkadot's bet is that Ethereum can't do that. Because if you really look at the timing, it's so funny when I go back and think about it, 2018, when Vitalik was like, well, we're going to move towards this E 2.0 and this sharding, and everybody's like, okay, it's going to come this year. And he was like, I don't know about that. Yeah. Now we're at 2021, and, the news is, the thought is that by the end of 2022, we should have ETH 2.0 rolled out completely. So we're still a long ways away from that. However, Cardano ain't even got its, smart contracts launched yet. So look, we love Cardano. I never want to crap on Cardano because I love Cardano. But to say that, if we go through a traditional cycle where we're in a bear market next year, like a lot of us think that we will. Some people don't, some people think the super cycle, yada, yada, yada. Most of us who are level-headed and have been here for a long time believe there will, whether it's now or later, there will be a bear market. And when you look at Ethereum launching 2.0 in 2022, well, suddenly that just doesn't seem that far away. I mean, we were talking about this back in September of 2020 even, wow, 2022, that's a real long ways away. Yeah. Well, the question is Cardano even going to be able to, or Polkadot, even going to be able to have their ecosystems partly full to be able to compete with Ethereum by the time 2.0 completely rolls out? And I would say it's not going to be significant, even if they do have, a lot of their projects rolled out and their blockchains are working great and their governance is working great and their staking pools are working great, parachains are working great. I don't think that's enough of a head start on Ethereum in a year and a half or so. So I think that Ethereum still is in the catbird seat. And I've made this comparison a lot of times. It's kind of like a star football team, NFL team. You got your quarterback, you got Patrick Mahomes for the Chiefs. But if Patrick Mahomes gets injured in the fourth game of the season, that number 2 team in that division is going to have to do all it can do to kick the Chiefs while they're down. Because when Patrick Mahomes comes back, they're going to end up with a good record, and you don't want to see them in the playoffs and things like that. While Ethereum 2.0 is not rolled out and it's having all the problems, EIP 1559 should ease some of those. But these other projects have to kick it into hyperdrive. And, honestly, Cardano waiting so long to put out these smart contracts, I think is going to hurt it a little bit in that race. It's basically an arms race right now. And I think that we're getting so far advanced into Ethereum 2.0's rollout that it's still going to be hard for these other projects to catch it, I believe, unless it has major issues.
Yeah, no, that was a really good breakdown, and I would agree almost 100% with all of that. But Jebb, I wanted to throw this one to you because what Ben kind of outlined was 2 different ideologies, kind of when you are 2 different approaches to a project. We know Charles has taken a very slow approach, academic approach, slow and steady, wanting to get it right off the beginning, before going too fast. Vitalik in the past has said he doesn't put as much emphasis on the peer review, the academic process. It's better to just get things out there, and then when problems come up, you adapt and you fix them and you move forward. So I'm interested to hear from you of which one you feel is the better approach for crypto, because Ben really did lay out a lot of kind of issues with the Cardano method here of like now is the chance to really move. So then I want to ask you kind of what your feeling is on that approach, as well as who do you think has the most to win right now while we wait for the full ETH 2.0 to launch?
Absolutely. So this is a classic business question. How do you develop an organization in a way that best suits the needs of the market while also best attributing your resources to attacking your competitor? I love what Ben was saying when he was talking about how right now, essentially, Ethereum is Goliath, and Polkadot and Cardano in two different ways are David. They are trying to attack Goliath, and you don't attack Goliath where Goliath is strong. You attack Goliath where Goliath is weak. And oftentimes, Goliath became Goliath for a reason, right? He's not going to be weak in very many areas, so you have to pay very close attention when he is. Right now, Ethereum is very weak in the fact that it cannot physically transact it cannot physically process how many transactions need to go through that network for it to be able to do what it wants to do. So these different smart contract platforms and decentralized identification protocols have a very much once in a project's lifetime opportunity to attack Ethereum. The question on the table is, how do you go about doing that? Do you go with this slow, methodical approach, or do you take it, let's just throw something against the wall, see what sticks, and improve upon this? Well, it's funny because the viewers of my channel probably know we are actually growing into a company here that does education. I have 13 employees and 1 contractor on staff. You guys know this as well because there's a whole team of people. I think you guys have like 40 people behind BitBoy Media that runs this channel. These are actually big operations for anyone watching these shows. Just so you know, there are like people on payroll and people doing finance and everything. These are companies. We're not just like people in our bedrooms doing this anymore. So I can speak from the experience of a business owner as to what Charles Hoskinson and the developers of Polkadot are going through. There are two different philosophies. There is the get it right the first time, and there's the get something there and improve it. We are currently implementing something in our business called the Toyota Way. Toyota, I firmly believe, is one of the best-run companies in the world, and you'll see where I'm going with this, I promise. This company made a profit every single year except for 2008 since 1950, and has outcompeted its next 4 competitors by doubling its profit compared to its next 4 competitors by market share. What Toyota does around process improvement is it has the mentality of the word Kaizen. Kaizen is a mandate for self-improvement. There are 2 different ways that you can do it. Number 1, you build something from nothing. That's building a system and then getting something in place. And the other one is the continual self-improvement side of that. You have to build something, and then you have to iterate on it. That's the way Toyota looks at continual improvement. Right now, what Charles Hoskinson of Cardano is doing and what the Polkadot team are doing is that they are building systems and they're trying to improve upon them. Which one is the better method? Do you want to just get something and make sure it works, or do you want to go through the slow, methodical process? It depends on the culture of the team behind the project. If the culture behind Cardano is a very scientific culture that works best in that environment, then that's what's going to work best for them. If Polkadot doesn't operate that way because the culture of the developers behind it doesn't work that way, then you have to do what is going to be best for the organization. So as far as I'm concerned, both methods are capable of delivering a valuable product. The question is not so much, in my opinion, the method. It's not so much which method you choose, as how well you execute either one of them. Because there's an element of both of those concepts of building something from nothing and then iterating on it that has to be taken into account. And I think this is something that we need to remember in our trading as well. You got to put habits in place, but then you can't forget that you have to be continually improving upon them as well. So as far as what's going to happen with Ethereum and EIP 1559, I am not a blockchain developer. I do not profess to know every single thing about EIP 1559. I think it's a great update. I think it's going to be very good for Ethereum. But if Ethereum 2.0 cannot launch with some haste, then Cardano and Polkadot very much have a competitive advantage, and they would be very wise to make the most out of it.
Yeah, no, that was a lot, but that was a really good breakdown. Love the analysis there of the business philosophy. I knew you'd have something good there. That's why I threw you that one. You put a lot of thought into all the decisions you make, and we definitely appreciate that. And we have a very similar approach here too, of like you said, build and iterate and improve and constantly be creating and building. So. Sorry, our producer here throwing up funny quips on the screen. So we can't put that on the show. But let's move topics a little bit. Talk about the kind of the mindset of the retail investor. We've got a survey that's come out recently that shows even through this recent dip in May, 90% of the people invested in crypto say they're not scared at all. A lot of people, I think almost 40% said that they're confident the price will make it up over 50,000, maybe pushing 70,000 by the end of this year. So people are still very bullish, still very optimistic about cryptocurrency despite the recent downturn. which is, you know, like it's not feeling as bad up over 40, but at one point was almost as bad as 50% from the top. So we've had a pretty steep correction. A lot of people are very confident. It was interesting. We were looking at some of the things they're most bullish on outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum was Cardano. But I want to talk to you, Ravi, and since you're kind of coming from that traditional background and, you know, getting involved in some of this stuff, how much do you look at these tech things? Do you look at EIP 59 and, you know, tech upgrades and put a lot of weight on those, or do you just kind of look at this as general investing, like you believe in this as the long term, so you're investing just a little bit over time?
Yeah, I guess for me, it's I'm definitely more of a macro investor, right? So I definitely appreciate there's technicals involved and, you know, there's charts, and I definitely enjoy looking at those things. But for me, I need to take a step back. You know, when I've come through with real estate, it's not looking at this market has gone up in the last 6 months. It's looking at the bigger picture. And I think when we have upgrades like this, they're just another sort of positive, I guess, improvement to the entire space. But I think that's when it's important, especially with the investors I talk to, they're not so much concerned with where's the price in the next 12 months or 24 months. Rather, they're looking at where's the price in the next 5 to 10 years, because that's where I think true financial freedom is really built, right? It's not so much, hey, well, if I put in $1,000 now, can I retire in a year? Yeah, you could probably do that and try your bet with like Dogecoin or Shiba Inu or whatever. But at the end of the day, for me, it's like the blue chip stuff will always come out strong because you've got proper teams, the proper culture around it, just like CryptoJebb was talking about. And so I think for me, it's another step in the right direction. But I firmly believe that traditional finance will not exist, or a large part of it will basically become nothing compared to what crypto will do to the entire space, because that's where the cycle is heading. That's where we are. So I think a lot of people, the reason why they're not scared is, one, there's a lot more education around this time than there was 4 years ago. And I think that's helping, especially with people being a bit more, I guess, smarter when they're looking at people on TikTok or, you know, on YouTube making a quick clickbait article or video versus some stuff with proper fundamentals around long-term sustainability around the entire space. So yeah, definitely macro investor, man.
Yeah, no, that's great. And actually, real quick, thanks to Matt Sanchez for the super chat saying hit that like. We've actually got about 7,200 people watching and just over 1,000 likes. If we could get that up to 3,000, I feel like that should be no problem, and we can help push this out, help new people learn, and help get this crypto education out for a lot of the people out there. So, and Ravi, this is something or Rubens with an S, I wanted to ask you. You mentioned last cycle, you said you were in like 60, 70 different coins. You were looking for something that was going to get that, you know, that quick hit. Maybe you're going to quit your job soon. Over time, you ended up more and more consolidating back into Bitcoin. So talk a little bit about that experience, and then kind of your approach right now as an investor, like for some of the new people that maybe haven't been through a whole cycle. Like, what did you learn through going through that experience?
Well, I learned it's very misleading. When you see the constantly going up and up, you think you can't lose. Everyone's a winner when the bull market's up, right? So you're like, let me buy some more. Maybe this one will go up. Let me get some Dogecoin. Let me get some, you know, Moon, whatever, right? You just buy alts because they all go up. When Bitcoin goes up, everything goes up. You cannot lose. However, when you really start investing and there's a bear market or it's going down, that's when you need to really look into what is a good project, right? What is actually going to make a profit? What is going to fail? And if you get a bunch of different alts, like it just won't work. So what I learned mainly in this market is that you invest in good projects, Bitcoin, you know, XRB, like you find good projects to invest in.
Yeah, it's almost like what Ravi was saying there. You're looking, a lot of the people he's talking to is looking for like long-term approaches in the investing world. A lot of times in the VC world, they say like used to be everybody was looking for a unicorn, that thing that was going to make them rich in a year or 2 years. Now they're looking for cockroaches, something that's going to be alive, something that you can't be killed, that's going to be here 10 years from now, and that's a safe bet. And you know, in a market when they're printing dollars like crazy and everything's going up, you just want to survive. You want time to be on your side, and you want things to go up more than your dollars, more or less. So. Jeb,
and to touch on
yeah, I did. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Rubens.
I did. Go for it.
Sorry, to touch on the Ethereum, I think there's a difference between early adopter or the Apple versus Google, because Apple's never first to market ever with anything, but they always get it right and it just works. So even if Ethereum is the first one there, I'm sorry, if Polkadot's the first one there or Ethereum's the first one there, whichever one happens to get there first, doesn't mean that's the ones that's going to be successful. Doesn't mean everyone's going to get all the contracts. It's whoever does it right. And there's no reason why they both can't succeed. Google Android is the most used platform in the world, but bet you in your pocket you got an iPhone, right?
Yeah.
So it can be both of them.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. There's definitely space for more than just one person in this market. So there's going to, I'd say probably 2 to 3 most of the time, but it'll be interesting to see. So did you want to go ahead, Jeb?
Yeah, no, I think an analogy that's helpful for me to understand the way that people look at the market during bull and bear markets is, let's say you're rich and you're hungry and you're grocery shopping. You're going to buy everything you see, all right? You're going to fill up that cart. You're going to get everything. You're going to grab everything off the shelves. But then what happens when you're broke and when you've just eaten and you're kind of like, I really don't want to be here. I kind of want to go home and play video games. You're just not going to buy that much, right? But here's the thing. No matter what your financial status is or your hunger status is, you still got to eat. The fundamental fact of human nature is that you have to eat something that is nutritious. No matter whether the market is going up and we're hungry or whether the market is crashing and we really just don't care, the fact of the matter is you have to look at the fundamentals. In nutrition, it's your macros and your micros and your nutrients and everything. In crypto, it's the team behind the project. It's the use case. It's the limited supply. It's the economics. And I just want to make sure people remember that. No matter what the market is doing, fundamental analysis on cryptocurrency stays the same regardless of price.
Yeah, no, that's a great take. And like you said, very important. You got to eat something that's nutritious, right, Ben?
I've been told. You guys don't know I've been given 11 days to live.
Yeah,
so
they're cutting the bangs out of the diet. It's a sad day. So, we might have to find other ways to keep the energy up, but we'll figure it out. Well, let's move on to the last topic. We've got Bitcoin coming to retirement portfolios. We saw news today or yesterday, really, that we've got Coinbase partnering with a retirement plan provider to start helping people get exposure through their 401ks, maybe potentially through some of these pension plans, which we know is a lot of money sitting on the sidelines. That's always kind of the crown jewel for the investing world, is tapping into some of these major funds. So, Ravi, I want to hear from you. You were kind of in this same boat of like having a lot of stuff in real estate and wanting exposure to the crypto markets. How big of a deal do you think this announcement is that Coinbase is partnering with some of these people? And do you think this is going to be a trend we continue to see over the next several months?
Yeah, definitely. I've had so many more people in Australia, at least, you have the opportunity to go and take ownership of your own super. So you don't have it invested with, these big super companies where they invested wherever. And I'm seeing a lot more conversations around in groups and, people contacting me directly as to how they can go and take their super out of, shares and traditional finance into crypto. So I think when you've got bigger organizations coming out and saying even 5%, it's not so much the percentage that's important. I guess it's just them looking at this asset class as, hey, this is something we need to keep an eye on. So I feel like it's just a no-brainer, especially when we were talking, TJ, off camera before we started, where during the pandemic crash, we saw the Australian dollar lose like 20% of its purchasing power against the US dollar. And that's in Australia, right? So it can happen anywhere. And it's not just limited to, countries that third world countries that. So I think when you've got so much of a risk with currency that's centralized, for me, I'm comfortable with having my money stacked away there. That's why I'm into real estate, where I can, take advantage of debt and inflation. But now I'm seeing where the play is with something like crypto long term, especially passive income component really coming to the forefront.
Yeah, no, that's great. And you're right. Like, it is a very easy leap, I feel like, to go from real estate to Bitcoin, because it is very similar in a lot of regards as an asset that you can take ownership of, and it's going to, appreciate with as the other dollars and other buying power goes down. You're going to see the value of your real estate and your Bitcoin go up. And it's interesting, Ben, I wanted to throw you this. As we see all this stuff develop, I imagine, I don't know this, but I would imagine we're going to see somebody like Coinbase as a custody provider holding all these private keys. So we're going to end up with some pretty massive wallets getting custodied. But it's all going to be, all the keys will be held by some big third party. Like, do you think that's okay long term, or do you think, how do you think that, you think it's important for individuals to hold their own stuff, or do you think it's okay that to have like a 401k that's got exposure to Bitcoin, but you're not actually holding it yourself?
My biggest question is, what's retirement?
Yeah.
What is that? Who just wakes up and says, I don't want to do anything anymore? I don't know who those people are. Okay. The interesting thing, though, is we're heading to a new economy where it's going to be easier to work longer. You know what I mean? Like, we're not talking about, look, houses are going to be built by robots, at some point. You know what I mean? So a lot of those jobs that are like manual labor intensive and stuff like that, those jobs will be going away over time. Just something to think about. But back to your question. I did want to throw that out there. Back to the question. No, I have no problem with, look, there's an ideology and a philosophy that comes along with being an early crypto adopter, and we all kind of think the same things. Yes, in an ideal world, everyone would be responsible for themselves. A couple years ago, I did a series where I went out and I talked to people on the street about Bitcoin. And there was a guy. He was a boomer. And we literally tried to give this guy free money, okay? And he was like, no, I don't want it. I don't care. He said, you know what I love about my banker? If I need something, I'll call him and he'll get it done. It's a process. I don't want to take care of my own money. So if we're going to be realistic and not just idealistic, then we have to have third parties to take care of people's stuff. It's not the vein of decentralization. You got to realize decentralization is a Trojan horse here. We've got to suck these people into crypto and then eventually introduce them to decentralization. You can't do it the other way around. You can't take people that are on the traditional market and are used to people taking care of their stuff. I use people in my own family as an example of this, that they got into crypto because they're traditional investors. They only want to come in through Grayscale. Well, guess what? They're leverage trading now. They've gone down the rabbit hole. You gotta, and shorting it, if I do, say so myself, kind of made me mad, but I won't. Anyways, that's a different story. But in all seriousness, though, I mean, the truth is that we have to be realistic about the type of people that we want in crypto. And guys, where is the big money? The big money is not in millennials. The big money is not in Gen Z. The big money is in the boomers. Mm-hmm. That's where the big money is. So if you want to really get that top retail investor into this market, you have to be able to offer them common sense things that make sense. Like, yeah, in 40 years from now, everybody would be like, yeah, let me keep my keys, as long as the institutions and the banks don't win. Then, they'll understand it. If you tell Generation Z, like, hey, this is how you use Pancake Swap, they can figure it out in about 10 minutes, okay? If you ask somebody that's 60 years old to try to send you a transaction in Coinbase, it's going to take them probably 18 days and 3 grandsons, okay, to figure out how to do it, okay? You guys know it's true, okay? They can't, look, I love them, but they can't even operate their own TVs these days, and that's a blanket statement. I know that there are technologically advanced people out there that are older.
There's going to be an article written about that one tomorrow.
I know. It was such a great joke, though. I had to go with it. But guys, that's the reality of the situation. We know what they didn't grow up with this technology. Millennials, people my age, people between the age of 37 and 42, we're in a very special bracket of people that started school without the internet. We were playing Oregon Trail. By the time we graduated 12th grade, everything we did was on the internet. Yeah. Okay. And so we are the cusp. We are the transitionary stage between, technology, internet, and the older generation. And so people that are older than that, they struggle with technology generally. So I think we just have to, the point is, the long and the short of it, we have to be realistic, still keeping our ideologies and philosophies the way we want decentralization, but also have to be realistic to allow, who do we want more on the market, retail traders or institutions,
Well, I think retail traders would be great. We're over these institutions, so
we got to make it easy for them.
Yeah, and you're right. And we're seeing those baby boomers with a peaked interest. Our subscriber numbers have been climbing lately. The average age has been going up because we're seeing a lot of these people, like you said, that command a lot of this wealth. They're very smart. They've seen a lot over the years, and they're starting to look at things and ask questions and say, like, hey, where is the best place to put this money? And they're thinking long term, and they're not looking at the today or the tomorrow. They've been doing this for a while, so they are looking, gathering information, looking for stuff. And now we've got AARP came out and made a statement that, Bitcoin isn't great for retirement and, long-term investment now. But we've also got Fidelity and Schwab and other big people saying that it is. Actually, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, the chief chief investment officer, or chief financial officer from Fidelity Investments tweeted a chart with the Bitcoin chart, said the bottom is in right around 35, 36. So like that, stuff like that is very interesting when we've got major institutions, like they're watching Bitcoin very closely, but they're still kind of holding it close to the chest when it comes to the everyday mom and pop and grandma and grandpa. But so like, that's what I wanted to ask Ruben or Ravi, if one of you want to jump in. I guess we'll go with Rubens. Do you think this is the news we need to make it easy for grandma and grandpa to buy Bitcoin? Do you think the 401k or the traditional vehicle is going to be the method?
I don't think so, because those boomers or those older people, they already have their 401ks. Now, if it's just given to them, yes, but I don't see that happening. I think it's gonna take the institute, because you gotta remember, these old people, they're not. Sorry, these older people. They are quote unquote.
They're experienced people. That's the nice way to say
these
it.
wiser people.
Yeah, there you go.
You see that, right?
Yeah.
So
These
they are already. Yeah.
The
Wow.
grayscale buyers. Yeah.
Wow. I thought you said grave. I was like, wow, that's
No.
a
Oh
lot
gosh.
of shade.
This is going downhill.
Oh no, Lord.
No,
So
go ahead. Sorry.
these older people, right? They are already quote unquote retired or getting towards retirement age. They're investing in their 401ks. I mean, I don't want to be mean, but it's already done. You have to get those people that are just starting their new jobs after COVID, they got another new job, or those people that have been in their jobs maybe 10, 20 years. Those are the people that we need to switch their 401ks into crypto. And those people are already doing it. We just talked about they're not afraid or scared of cryptocurrency. I don't think the 401ks is going to move anything for the older generation. For the younger, yes. That's basically what's going to happen. And it's inevitable that these institutions are going to have to go into cryptocurrency. Like TD Ameritrade, they have to go into cryptocurrency. You don't own your stock. You have stock, you have options, but you don't actually have it in a wallet or anything, right? But it's still yours. I think that's how cryptocurrencies is.
Yeah, well, it'll be fascinating to see if 401ks even remain a thing as we go on in the future. Like for people that started, especially these young kids that started doing it 16, 17, you know, like anybody, I'm real curious, anybody kind of between the age of like 16 and 28 right now, like if they'll ever have a 401k or if they'll manage their own kind of range, you know, their stuff on their own.
Sounds boring.
What, having a 401k?
What about QR codes on butterscotch candies? Could this be a way to bring the older generation into crypto?
I don't think anything with QR codes would be very helpful for bringing in the older generation.
I think you'd have to explain what a QR code is to them first.
Well, and I will say QR codes have really hit their stride in the last couple of years since all, you know, having to do menus everywhere with QR codes. Like those actually have been kind of, that technology has been around for a long time and hasn't really ever been utilized until now recently. But, you know, Jebb, real quick, do you have any thoughts on like retirement as it comes to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency before we wrap this up?
Yeah. No, I love what Rubens said is that most of the people that are 55 and older, they're kind of already on a certain track. The people that I really think we need to hammer on are the people that are my age. I'm 20, and the age of everyone else around here from 20 to 40, maybe up to 45. And I think, like Ruben said, we're already moving in that direction. The good news is that as those institutions are helping to adopt Bitcoin and cryptocurrency by adding functionality for them, we're seeing TD Ameritrade and Fidelity and maybe AARP talking about all of these things, it is going to make it easier for that mid bracket. I'm really not all that interested in the 55 and up, and I'm really not all that interested in the 30 and down because those guys got it. These guys, they probably don't. The people in the middle between 30 and 50 are the people that I'm really interested in. They're right in the peak of their career. They're making the most money that they ever have. They're spending money on things that they probably don't need to try and enjoy their life while they have it, and Bitcoin might be one of those things. That range, those millennials who kind of understand technology, but they're starting to lose grasp of it, are the people that I think the institutions really need to market towards because I think they're the best audience that they have. If we can get those people online, then absolutely, yes, I think we are solid. At the end of the day, I think we need to see mass adoption across all spectrums, across all age brackets, but I think we also need to look at the demographics of the people that are investing in cryptocurrency in the same way we look at long-term investment. If we invest in people when they are 20 and then they stay in cryptocurrency for 10 years, then gradually as the demographics continue to move throughout time, we're going to see those people that are younger moving in the direction of adoption. We now understand that many more people understand internet now than they did 20 years ago because more and more people are growing up with it. So I think it's a demographical thing. I think it's a patience thing. And I think it's one more reason why we should be looking at not just day trading and looking for little profit opportunities here and there, but also looking at things like demographical data and seeing what it predicts into the future, which is that the young people, as they grow, will carry on that knowledge of crypto, and it will continue to lay a stronger and stronger foundation for the price as we move.
Yeah, well, and also as they grow up and mature and develop, they will also end up inheriting a lot of that wealth as well. So we know most of the wealth that's held by baby boomers right now, the large majority of that was inherited. So Ravi, do you think as this stuff gets inherited and we start to see that changing of the hands, we'll see kind of a reappropriation of the funds? Or where do you think, like, do you see that being kind of the way that most of this money ends up in crypto?
Yeah, I think that's going to play a large part. But similar to how, these older guys, they used to invest into art, right? For me, being 28, 29, it's got a return on investment of like 0. And so for me, it's like looking at Pokemon cards and trading cards and baseball cards and whatnot, right? So I think the same thing's going to happen where things like traditional finance, real estate or, shares in a company where they become unattainable, where they're so expensive, people are going to look at alternative assets. And I think when you look at crypto and you're like, the thought that you can own one Ethereum coin, that's still a fascination that most people have. They don't understand you can buy a fraction of a coin, but that ownership, right? We're able to get that with crypto. And I think moving forward, when you've got the larger investors with, with real estate, when they decide to sell or they, have that passed on to their kids or their grandkids, I think it's going to be invested into things that they grew up with where they, they know how it works. And I think in 10 years' time, we're talking about how traditional banks will have to adapt by, holding wallets. Because you're right, as BitBoy was saying, people like the thought of controlling their own stuff, but at the end of the day, no one wants to take that responsibility. So once we get some sort of centralization or some regulation around it, I think a lot of these people that are a bit more safer, they will come into the space, and I think there's a lot of money there. So it's exciting stuff.
Yeah, well said. And actually, Live in Music just said something very similar. He said, all you have to do is prove to the older demographics that crypto is better than the traditional system, and it's been working for him so far. So real quick, last second, who has gotten their parents to invest in Bitcoin or crypto or crypto of any kind? There we go. 1, 2, 3. All right, almost all of us. So we can attest
Rubens,
that they are willing to learn and adapt.
I got my girlfriend and my daughter to invest in crypto. So
okay, we'll take it.
Okay,
we'll
there
take
you go.
So it looks like we've got Ravi with the top score today. That's all the time we have. So you've got 30 seconds, Ravi, to leave the audience with some parting thoughts, some knowledge that you think they need to hear. Take it away.
No, I appreciate it. Appreciate being on this channel as well. I know that there's a lot of good stuff happening in the space with a lot of great people involved. And I think for anyone getting started, it's not so much looking at the short-term volatility. I think you've got to take a step back and really understand where is this space heading to long-term. And I think that gives you a lot more sleep at night factor, at least for me it does. And for someone who's been involved in traditional finance, with real estate, having now to look at cryptocurrency as the future, I think it's going, I can't just, sit there and stick to what worked 5-10 years ago. I need to adapt. And the people that adapt the quickest and optimize that, I think will make the biggest gain. So financial freedom's not far. As BitBoy says, rolling around in his Tesla, because I know he loves them. Financial freedom could mean different things for a lot of people, right?
Yeah. No, that's awesome, and really appreciate everybody joining us here today. We've had a really good time. We really enjoy these conversations. I'm seeing all this stuff in the chat. I got my mom on it. My dad's addicted. Dad's all in. Some people's parents are still skeptical, so keep up the good work. You guys are out there spreading the word of crypto, helping educate new people. That's what we're all about here. If you don't mind, smash the likes on your way out just to help more people get this message, learn about cryptocurrency, and changing their lives for the better for the future. If you can leave us a comment below of things you'd like us to discuss in the future, maybe other guests you'd like to see us cover, we'll get to it, and that's all we have for today. We're out.